Thank you very much, Mr. Omar Abu Zaidi, for that inspiring speech. Next, we have a panel discussion titled Marketing Masterpiece. On the panel, we have Mr. Saijin Yalcin, who is the founder and CEO of the Middle East's first and largest car buying service, SellAnyCar.com. He's also the founder of the first and largest online private shopping club in the Middle East, Sukkar.com. He is also a partner at Jabbar Internet and Souk.com Group, the largest e-commerce company in the Arab world. Please welcome Mr. Saijin Yalcin on the stage. Also on the panel, we have Ms. Mona Ataya, who is the CEO of Mumzworld and co-founder of Bait.com. She's one of the Middle East's most prominent women entrepreneurs and has won numerous awards in the past, including being voted amongst the 100 most powerful Arab women in 2014 and 2015. Ms. Mona was also voted amongst the world's 100 most powerful Arabs in Generation Next Arabian Business 2014. Please welcome on stage Ms. Mona Ataya. We also have Ms. Latifa Al Shamsi, who is a social media influencer and one of the first fashion and lifestyle bloggers in the region. She's also the senior manager of digital and social media at Dubai Tourism. Please welcome on stage Ms. Latifa Al Shamsi. On the panel is also Mr. Salah Tahlak, who is the Executive Vice President for Corporate Services at Dubai Duty Free. He is also the Tournament Director of the Dubai Duty Free Tennis Championships, the operation's largest sporting event and one of the top tennis events in the region. Please put your hands together for Mr. Salah Tahlak. Moderating this panel is my co-host for the event, Soha Imam, who is also the marketing director of Pyramedia Consultancy and Production. Put your hands together for Soha. Thank you.
Marketing. Well, marketing. That's why we left that topic till the end of the whole first day, because it's quite a very hot topic, and I'm so privileged to have you all as key people to talk about that topic. So let me welcome you.
Thank you.
Perfect. So the panel is going to have a couple of questions at the beginning where I'm going to ask you to put your thoughts into that, and then I'm going to ask a single question for each one of you about your own personal experience that we would like to share with the people about the success that we've achieved. So the first question is going to be, technology has influenced every aspect in our lives, specifically marketing. So my question is, what are the differences between the digital marketing and the traditional ones?
Digital is faster. I mean, I marketed Omar Abu Zaidi in 5 seconds. And I guess newspapers and TVs are going to market this at least 2 hours after the session. So I think digital primarily is faster.
And through the answer, you're going to tackle both pros and cons.
Of course, like if Omar made a mistake, for example, and I had that on my Snapchat, then it's gone. It's on my Snapchat. But TV and the traditional way of marketing, you can really, sugarcoat the truth or, the panel.
Interesting. Yes, sir.
Well, I think what you said is quite a valid point, and I would say us as a Dubai Duty Free, we're really restructuring our marketing strategy and getting into the digital media, or let's call it social media, and of course it's much faster and it reaches everywhere much faster, as she said, in seconds, everywhere. So, but I would still also the print media is still valid. Like we still put a lot of ads in the newspapers and magazines worldwide. That's still people look into it. Like I would still read my newspapers daily. I know there's everything available online, but still, to feel the touch of the paper and to see it, it's going to be different than what you see it on the screen and the online. So yes, I would say both are good. As to amalgamate both of them today, and you should have the option of everything available.
Thank you, Ms. Mona.
So, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. The fundamentals of marketing have not changed. And what are the fundamentals? Basically, we oftentimes forget that marketing is really about identifying a pain point that a consumer or series of consumers have that is not being addressed. So as a marketeer or as a product owner, our job is to create a product that can uniquely and with excellence identify or solve a need, and then deliver it to the consumer quickly and effectively. I think earlier today we talked a lot about how the only changing equation is the way we reach a consumer and how it's done. With the proliferation of media, the fragmentation of media, and the abundance of media, consumers are overwhelmed with information overload. So as a marketeer, we need to now look at ways that we can capture the consumer much faster with greater impact, and what is it that we're going to do that's going to be the tipping point for the consumer to choose us versus others. So it's really a completely different way to structure your strategy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segan.
I believe the most important difference is measurability. So the first time I can actually justify my job as a CMO and actually prove that I'm probably one of the most important persons in the company is by showing what you can measure. So we always believe in you can't improve anything if you can't measure. So I believe that's what digital really brought to the table. Now obviously it's not the sole tool we're using, so it actually has to be still a holistic approach. So we still use the offline, obviously we're using PR a lot, we're using a lot of social media channels. So in general it's a very good addition to what we have already been doing. So I believe that's the number one thing. It brought data to marketing.
So in a world that is evolving constantly, how often do we need to change the marketing strategy? I'm going to keep asking.
So we don't change our marketing strategy ever. We just believe in one thing. We say we need to get the message out there. That's our strategy. But if it comes to the tactics, we change it all the time. Now, basically, now you might have seen I have gone into social influencer marketing in the last 5 to 6 weeks. It has been very successful, so we believe that has helped us to reach a broader audience, which we probably believe still are pioneering in, but I feel personally that I have been sleeping on it for the past 2 years. So because we have all exhausted the traditional ways, and when I consider traditional, I'm talking digital. Yeah. So the Googles and AdWords and Facebooks and Twitters, these are very much traditional ways of doing marketing. So it goes into the social media aspects, not only by having a page, obviously, but really using it for as an integral part of your holistic marketing strategy.
Thank you, Ms. Mona.
So I agree with that. The strategy per se doesn't change. Your mission, your vision, your overall objectives don't change. What does change is the execution to get there. Now what's very, very important, and this is something that I'll kind of add to that, and this is where we perhaps have a difference in opinion, and that is oftentimes when there's a proliferation of information out there from a marketeer standpoint, if your sole objective is to reach your customer, and your numbers coming into your brand and converting to sales is your measure of success, in our opinion, that's not enough. And I'll tell you why. Because if you look to probably the end of the 20th century, the last quarter of the 20th century, with the stock market down, a lot of companies were very quarter focused, so they were very volume driven. So I, as an organization, am successful insofar that I can go back to my shareholders at the end of the 3 or 4 months and say, I've grown in numbers. The reality is the sustainability of such companies was not great. So what we need to be doing in today's world is talk about the sustainability, the long-term benefits. So yes, I'm reaching my consumer. It's a lot easier now if I'm doing it right to reach the consumer, but how do I get the consumer to come to me again and again and again through a consumer-obsessed and focused approach? And really that's our challenge. So the answer to your question in a long-winded way is we are constantly evolving our marketing strategy to allow us to be more customer obsessed as opposed to reach more customers.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes.
I do agree with the fact that you don't change your marketing strategy. However, you do change the tools you use to market. The reason why I think marketing strategies don't change a lot is because they come hand in hand with your branding, which usually for big companies, like I'm talking about my personal branding as a person, but for companies, they usually don't change their branding for years. Pepsi changed their logo 20 years after. But I do believe that we need to always, keep up with the new trends, what's happening, and how consumers are actually looking at our, branding, marketing, advertising. So the tools do always change.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we have a lot of two different, I would say, scenarios. I would say I combine the objectives because we work for the semi-government of Dubai. So our objective was to, from Hassan and Sheikh Mohammed, to promote Dubai, to promote Dubai International Airport and Dubai duty-free.
Yeah.
So the strategy was, or our services, we were the first duty-free ever in the world, 24/7 services, and it was first-class services, a value for money, and then a variety of the merchandise, and the prices very competitive and much cheaper than the downtown market. Maybe nowadays not anymore the case, but I would say in general we are very competitive, and I would say much cheaper than the other duty frees in the world. So that makes it, for us, it's again not to sit on something easy and then move it on. So then it's always a trend, so that we do a trend and tactics. So the medium that we thought it will be the best to attract, and we started in 1983. We are now in the 33rd year of Dubai Duty Free. So our medium was to reach customers, reach people worldwide through the sports. And we picked a lot of different sports, but I would say our baby is now the tennis.
The tennis, yeah.
So yes, we do attract people, and then a lot of people, they say, does that mean a lot of people come just to play or to watch tennis? I said, well, a combination, but this is just an awareness. But to go back to what we did, our trend is, when she mentioned about I think the Russian market, in 2014, the last quarter, I think the ruble went down, and then the oil price as well. So we changed our little trend and tactics. We went to Chinese, as well as the GCC and specifically Saudi's market. So we did change a lot, and then we are now more than 25% of the inbound into Dubai. It's the Chinese travelers, and then they really buy a lot of things. A lot of people, they say, why would Chinese buy? They have everything in China. I said, well, it's different. It's all the brands. It's all international brands. We have everything. So we do change the trends and the tactics within our frame of strategy.
Interesting. We've been introduced to a couple of concepts before. It's the B2B and the B2C. But now people go more to H, human to human. How far is this concept going to improve the marketing concept? Mr. Segan.
I'm trying to identify the gist of your question. So,
The messages, the marketing messages right now, is it important now to focus more about the human factors within the message that is going to corporate and to our customers and consumers?
as far as I can remember, it was always about people. Like, people need to be able to identify themselves with your product. So I haven't seen any change with going digital with that aspect. So in general, the human factor, if it's missing, your product or service won't sell. So for me, it's always been part of actually the core of your message.
Very interesting. And everyone else agrees, Ms. Mona?
So I think building what you said earlier about measurability, and that's actually fundamental. So measurability has brought to the online world a completely new set of tools and expectations that never existed before. And with that comes this notion of personalization. So we are now in a world where authenticity in your messaging is absolutely fundamental. What does that mean? That means every consumer, regardless of where they fit in, wants to feel that the brand is authentic and speaking to themselves uniquely. Now, in the online world, and Souk, I think, and selling cars is a great example, and most e-commerce players do this, where your experience is personalized. If I come onto the website at Mumzworld, for example, my experience will be very different than your experience because the website knows who you are, knows how old your children are, knows where you've gone, knows what you bought, etc. That's absolutely fundamental. And the reason that's become so important today is because of what I said earlier, and that is the overdose of information and competition, where unless you personalize, your competitor, who can copy you much easier than he or she could do before, will do that. So that's a point of difference, and that's a point of connection, and it's a point of empathy and authenticity.
Thank you very much. Ms. Latifa, still carrying on with that question, but I'm going to quote, actually it's quoted from your page, when you said, "I'm the girl next door."
Yeah.
It's a very human statement.
I think at the beginning people didn't believe that because I never showed my face, by the way. It's my first, appearance. Yes.
Take as much pictures as you can, guys. She's going to disappear, yeah.
I think it's time. It's been 6 years since I started writing on my blog, which is under my name as well. And I started just showing my style, which I thought was the point, right? Because if you're showing fashion, then you show your jewelry pieces, your bag, your shoes. And I started also reviewing restaurants in Dubai. So your point of me saying, I think I'm the girl next door, right? Nobody knows me personally, but I think people prejudged me because of the pictures I had on. It was all luxury items and very feminine, classy, and I think to people that was a bit mysterious. But thank God for Snapchat. People started knowing me better, and I got numerous messages saying, "We never thought you were that funny." And I am truly the girl next door. I don't try to be perfect. I don't want to be perfect. And I'm very approachable. Every comment anyone has ever written to me, I've replied back to. So I think there was a prejudgment, but now people do agree that, I am the girl next door.
Thank you. Mr. Salah.
Yes, definitely the human element or the human touch, it is important. That's why in Dubai Duty Free we have more than 6,000 staff. Out of them, at least 1,000, we call them beauty agent. They were picked and trained by the different brands worldwide. And we do more than 400 in-house training, mainly about the product, so product knowledge, to know about the product whenever the customer approaches them, so they know how to convince the customer from the flyers to buyers. So it is important. And also among our staff, we have something like a mini small, Miss World. We do that. And then that's among the staff, some sort of competition, the beauty. So yes, the beauty and appearance, it is important, and how to talk. And we have more than 28 different languages spoken among our staff and 24/7. So again, this is a customer service to the passengers.
If I may add to that point, there was a story that happened yesterday. I went into a particular jewelry store. I don't want to mention names. And they asked me why I had the love for another jewelry store.
And both are luxury.
Both are luxury, very well known. And my answer is because they gave me stories. every piece I bought was because there was a story behind it. And the story they gave me was a personal story
That you
from
can
the
relate to.
creators. So I think those kind of authenticity, even if, you know, we make up the stories or we, you know, add to the stories, it's still a story. It relates to us. And, you know, things like they had a creation that was created in the honeymoon of those two owners of the brand. So for me, it was very relevant to buy it on, you know, when I got married. So these kind of stories really, I think, is excellent marketing. So I just wanted to add that
Thank you very
story.
much. My next question is for Mr. Segan. March 2014. Does that trigger anything? Hi. Arabian business named as one of the region's finest young entrepreneurs. And that is you, right? Okay. How did you take that title? What was the first impression when you felt that you were entitled for that title, and how did you take it further?
Definitely grateful and appreciated. I believe it hasn't changed my way of looking at entrepreneurship, but what I have done ever since, however, irrespective if it was directly linked to that article or not, was that I have grown. 2014, you said? Yeah, that's basically when Sell Any Car was about to become the largest used car trader in the country, which we have now become. So we have actually proven one more thing, which was very important, that technology can improve and actually optimize industries. And one of the largest industries we have in this country is automotive. That was one more proof. We could do that with fashion, we could do that with electronics, we could do it with automotive, and there are probably another 2 or 3 other industries such as real estate or even the medical or the food industry, which will be and is being disrupted with technology. So that's basically what we have been trying to do, to show that technology is really needed to improve our lives. That's one. The second thing is also I've been looking into giving back a lot, in terms of helping young entrepreneurs to get out there and to be seen. I've mentioned that several times, that we have a gap in the market, in the investors market, between $10 to $75 million tickets. That's something which is really missing in the region, and I've been trying to promote venture capital as much as possible. I've launched a show which actually is promoting investors and up-and-coming entrepreneurs to be able to present their ideas, and obviously investors to be able to find quality deals. So having said that, I believe in general we will keep on doing what we're doing with technology, but it has become more of social entrepreneurship in the past 20 to 24 months. SellAnyCar.com is a true marketplace, and most of the people might not be familiar with the fact that we are trading most cars in the country without actually owning any single car. So we've demonstrated that technology actually is there to allow one thing, and that is real-time stock exchange of cars. So that's what Sell Any Car does. It buys any car in 30 minutes, and we've been able to sell cars within 12 minutes. So I believe the average in the industry is 87 days. So it's pretty much very good for a working capital situation. At the same time, we've also been able to remove all the hassles of selling cars, just because we don't believe in certain outdated processes which are still being used by the incumbents. More importantly is, and what's always surprising me, is that these incumbents and market leaders never wake up until they actually feel it in their balance sheet. And that's kind of really shocking me, because I wouldn't say it was easy to take over the automotive used car industry in the country, but it wasn't as difficult as I would thought, with so many big players. And we're talking huge competitors. We're talking multi-billion-dollar conglomerates who didn't care, and probably will not care for the next 5 to 10 years. When I can already foresee, and I don't feel like I have a crystal ball, I just look at numbers, in the next 7 years, used car business will be double as big as new car business. Now, if you now justify not reacting to it by saying, well, used car business is still 1/3 of new car business now, then how are you going to justify in 5 years that even your new car business is now suffering? So, having said that, for young entrepreneurs and up-and-coming bright minds, it's the best thing which can happen, right? If huge industries like these are able to be disruptive, and that all you need to do is have the right mindset and try to improve certain outdated processes in these industries, then it's great. So you could just do it. It's not really, it's not easy, obviously, but I would have expected more. Now, the second part, obviously, which I would like to also emphasize is what's going on in these big companies. Is there something missing which is called an innovation department or data-driven business intelligence? Is this something which is so new to this world that we have to talk about it? I mean, data should drive any company. Data for us is on top. It's even beyond the CEO. It decides basically what needs to be done. And then it trickles down to the departments with action points obviously defined. Now, having said that, if data dictates that there is an issue in used car business and you can solve it by X, Y, and Z, then why not do it and only react when it's already when the battle is already lost?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Mona. You were voted amongst the 100 most powerful Arab women 2014 and 15 in the row. Am I right? Yeah. You have a great marketing background with P&G for sure and the FMCG, which is quite a very difficult market to do marketing. What were the key challenges that you have personally faced?
Throughout my career?
Yep.
Okay.
In the marketing specifically, yeah.
I faced a lot of challenges. I think we'll be here a very long time to talk about them.
Because the focus is more about inspiring others within your personal experiences.
Okay. So I think my career kind of evolved from the traditional brick and mortar FMCG. How do you market a US brand at the time to the US market? And I learned the fundamentals. I then fast forward to Europe. I learned how to market a European brand in one market in Europe, and then essentially localizing it. In 2000, I came back to the Middle East because this is home for me. I came to Dubai to basically join Bait.com to revolutionize recruitment in the Arab world. Back then, internet penetration was less than 2%. People said we were crazy. I left a job that was very high paying. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to create social impact. At the end of the day, I wanted to come back to a region that was home to me, that was dear to me, and I wanted to create a footprint that created legacy. And when we created Bait, we were essentially creating a concept that not only did not exist, in an ecosystem that did not exist, but with a tremendous amount of skepticism and question marks. And that was a fantastic kind of roller coaster ride and wave that we rode, and I loved every minute of it. With Mumzworld 5 years ago, when we launched Mumzworld, again, it was launched with a vision to bring vertical mother, baby, and child e-commerce to the Arab world. I'm a mother myself. I'm a mother of 3 children. So I was juggling between being an entrepreneur, a mother, a wife, a sister, etc. So there the challenge was, how do you dive into an ecosystem of e-commerce that was also 5 years ago very underdeveloped, create your path essentially and become successful. So again, the challenges varied. I think if I had to summarize 1 or 2 common denominators across my entire journey, the first common denominator or the first skill that I learned, and by the way, I could safely say that every skill I learned over the years have become obsolete. So I don't use any skills or tools that I started with 15 or 20 years ago. But the one thing that I acquired very early on and that I use today is the ability to acquire knowledge. In an ever-changing, fluid world, insofar that you can constantly teach yourself absorb information, absorb data, assimilate it, and make smart decisions. That's fundamental. That's the first thing. And the second thing, again, I go back, and I'm, I would say probably a stickler to this, being customer focused. So the one thing throughout my journey that hasn't changed, even though marketing has changed and building businesses has changed, putting the customer at the forefront of every single thing you do is absolutely essential.
So it's not anymore about the specs or what the product is or the service. It's more about how is that going to be very useful for people to use.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Ms. Latifa, you have helped locally promoting numerous startup businesses. If you can tell us more about this, and how did your marketing tactics help promote these people?
I don't want to take credit at the beginning. It's the consumers that taught us influencers and social media bloggers and influencers that we can actually market brands, whether internationally or locally. So I give thanks to them because once I started, doing shoots and fashion shoots and things like that on my blog, I got so many emails asking if I can promote their businesses. And of course, you guys know now everything is paid, you know, what's your rate card. But when I started, and a little more than 4 years ago, I marketed and promoted businesses for free, and still do if they are local. I give thanks to them that they showed me that I had the power, you know, to change people's minds, to change people's tastes. And I started with a few local brands, whether it be F&B or fashion or beauty. And I think they helped me realize that, and in return, I helped them promote the businesses. Now, I have a very strict policy, which is I use your product. If I like it, I promote it. If I don't, I tell you, if you still want free advertisement by saying that your product is not that good, I will talk about it, but I would give you the chance to improve it and not talk about it. And a very nice story, a little girl who was like around 15 years old, she had a cookies business. And she sent me her cookies. Her logo looked similar to another business. The cookies were okay. I'm not a good cook, so I consider most things okay. So I replied back and said, look, I'm gonna say thank you, but I'm not gonna advertise, I'm not gonna say it's good, and change your logo. 1 year later, she was 16. She had amazing cookies, different branding. She really made it out there, and I believe Sheikh Hamdan went to one of the exhibitions and she took a picture of him next to her stand. So for me, it was a proud moment that I was able to push people to become better and better entrepreneurs, actually. And she was 16, so this was really big.
Thank you very much. This is a great thing. All right, Mr. Salah, you are the first Arab to be a member of both, one more time, both male and female tennis tournament council and with the ATP, correct? Well, how was that, the concept first? Let me know, how did you feel about that? And the integration between that tournament and tackling your customers, how did that merge together?
Okay, let me put it this way. It wasn't easy at the beginning. We started in 1993, the first Dubai duty-free tennis tournament, and it was ATP International, and it was back then at 250. As you see now, there's event. Let me just give you some background. Grand Slams is of 2,000 points. Then you have 1,000 event, and then you have 500, 250. So we were back then 250, which is very similar to Doha ATP.
Interesting.
And we had no stadium. We did everything scaffolding. We used the one court, and we had back then 3 courts at the Dubai Aviation Club, which is part of now the Jumeirah Creek Hotel, and that's owned by Dubai Duty Free, run and operated by Jumeirah Group. And the court 1, we made it as a central court, and it was 3,500 seating. So very simple, very traditional way. And then in 3 years down the road, we built our stadium. And the stadium was built in 8 months. So, and it's one of the, I would say, I've been to all the tournaments worldwide, from Grand Slam to the 1,000 and 500 and 250s. But I think ours is very traditional. It looks like a tent, like Arabian feel to it.
Flavor.
Very intimate when you're sitting like very much like here next, just behind the players. You feel that you're next to the players. And it's 5,000 seating. So we had a lot of changes the beginning. And until now, there's a lot of tournament. They do have same problem to bringing people watch the tennis, especially here, because the culture is everybody works from 7 until 3. So then we try to change our timing from 2, like the first ball starts at 2:15. Again, our tournament, always we call it a night event or a night tournament. So that was one of the challenges, how to bring the people to the stadium and watch.
Use social media influencers.
Yeah, but now, yes, we are. We will, and then we did, in fact, for the last few years. But again, this is at the beginning how it was difficult for us. Even now, I was at the U.S. Open. I mean, first 3 days it was half empty. The whole total, 22,000 seating empty. And so we're not that far from them. But then to make people come, we changed it. We did a lot of promotion. Our sponsor did a lot of interaction, a lot of promotion. So to bring more people, we brought the tickets much cheaper. The beginning was like a free ticket. So we did a lot of different tactics to bring them. That's what a lot of challenge for me. I remember in 2003, that was when I became a tournament director, and in 2004, I was just at the last day before the Desert Classic. So I was just there because we were also the sponsor of the Dubai Desert Classic. So His Highness Sheikh Mohammed was leaving, and then before leaving time, he was just chatting with His Excellency Mohammed Gargawi. So Mohammed looked at me, and he said, "Salah, come." And I was just like feel like a butterfly in my stomach. What's going on?
What did I do wrong?
Yeah, and then he said, "Tell His Highness about the tennis." And then that was 3 days after my tennis was over. And for me, it was very challenging moments. So he said, "I was following you, and then one thing I couldn't understand, why the seating were empty." And back then, I told Your Highness, "Yes, we know that, because there was a problem. There was a World Cricket Championship. So 40%, 50% of our viewers, people come to the stadium, they're all watching that. Number 2, I think there was a hype of Iraq and Kuwait war. Third, the tickets were a bit expensive. So I promised them everything next year we'll fix it." So which we did. And then the following year, 2005, we did, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, because in many marketing tools, still people, they use that as a good example in tennis or in the sports in general done. That when Andre Agassi and Roger Federer, we brought them to play, as it looked like playing on the helipad of the Burj Al Arab. So again, the idea, and then I must thank first Dubai Desert Classic, because they did it before us, Tiger Woods. But the way Tiger Woods did it, it was just teeing off from the helipad, and nobody knows what happened, where the ball even went. The way we came up with my team, I said, let's do it different. And then my input was, let's make it look like a real tennis court. And then the helipad itself is like 2/3 of the tennis. So we did it, everything done. And we brought Getty Images to give us great pictures and to go worldwide. So imagine the whole recce when we did it looked very good. So I said, guys, let's do it. Yeah. So that one piece, until now people are using it, and which I feel personally as an Emirati very proud. Absolutely. Because I made it happen. And number 2, it was the initial cost or the total cost, $25,000. And we did an analysis 6 months later to find out what was the value. It was $25.5 million of the worth of advertising everywhere worldwide. So I think this is a great thing to do. And then I remember the following morning, the head of ATP called me. He said, "Salah, you guys hit half of the planet." I swear to God. So this is until now people are using. So I think we had a lot of challenges to go through, and and then to go from traditional marketing to the, which is like, and we are also, don't forget, we are based in the airport and we're a travel retail business. So there's a lot of things. It wasn't that wow to use the digital media. So marketing, again, to use it. We thought the sport is the best, the best thing to, attract people. Like today, we're talking about 2016. We're not too far from 2017. 2017, next year, it's a big, I would say, another, history for us to gonna make, which is a 25th anniversary of the ATP tournament in Dubai. So then we're still thinking, our people marketing, we're all talking. So one of the people that I really, I must admire, Jasmine, she's my colleague. Jasmine, she's been one of the, the sales staff and the shop floor in Dubai Duty Free. So today, she's with us 15 years, and then she learned, and we always promote in-house people. So, that was one of the challenges, to bring some, and then a lot of people say, where's your Emiratis? I said, well, unfortunately, I'm ashamed and embarrassed to say Emiratis, and some of them, they don't even, want to be in that area, because there's a lot of work, long hours, traveling time, and then they don't want to be in that situation. So I felt bad as an Emirati, as a first Arab, as you said, as you mentioned, both in ATP and WTA, and there's nothing for me to pay them back. It was all done by them, by the tournament. They pick, and then there's a nomination. In fact, now the next term, which is going to be next year, is already in the pipeline. So even I was offered now as a board director of the ATP as well. So I said, no, I cannot do this, because I have a lot of my day-to-day role at Dubai Duty Free. So yes, people, and especially because both ATP and WTA are run and managed by the Americans. So Americans, they do believe in the human, they do believe in what you add to the sport. So by us doing all these different pieces, like Nadal, we took Nadal before the Burj Khalifa was finished. We took him up there, so it was something very unusual. Like we took Djokovic to Sheikh Hamdan's palace. I think he's got the skydive, so he was there. So all these things, when they see, they have never been done in any part of the world. So what we did for the tennis, it added to the whole sport. Both ATP, ATP WTA plus the worldwide, and that's why Roger Federer, this guy, he's a great figure, not for tennis, but for the sports in general.
Interesting.
So to have all these, elements together, it was really a challenge for me to do it. And at the same time, for me, it was very difficult, because I'm the only one person Emirati, and then we have a lot of different expats around me as a Dubai Duty Free team, because we have operating team, which is within Dubai Duty Free, and we have I'm also a member of UAE Tennis Federation. So there's a lot of different things we do, but it's not the same when you have your team working with you for many years. So I'm very proud of my team, very proud of what we have done for Dubai. Wherever I go, as Mr. Umar said, you have to have your hat. Wherever you go, I'm Dubai, I'm an Emirati, whatever I'm doing is for the country, it's not for me personally. So the message for all of us, whenever we go, I feel proud. Another example I give you, 2 years ago, I was in Melbourne, again, a Grand Slam. This is the beginning of the tennis. I saw everywhere in red, and I see Emirates, fly Emirates. So although we work under same leader, Sheikh Ahmed Saeed, but of course we always have this among us. Sure. But when I went there, I feel really proud, and even had goosebumps. Wow, I feel like I'm in Dubai. Everywhere it was covered by Emirates. And I think whatever Emirates did, it was, again, good for Dubai, good for the UAE.
Very interesting.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I must say one thing. I remember Umar, when he mentioned some good story. I have one good story to tell. That was, I would say, 20 years ago, before the construction of the Terminal 1, which is, they used to call it Sheikh Rashid Terminal, and today we call it internally Concourse C. So the difference between the concourse and the terminal, concourse where they attach, the jetway or the bridge to the aircraft. Okay. So I was there along with His Highness Sheikh Ahmed in Berlin in ITB. ITB is one of the biggest travel and tourism exhibition worldwide, and it's International Tourism Boursa. So I was sitting next to His Highness, and then a German journalist, along with the English journalist too. They're asking, Your Highness, what do you think of Terminal 5 in Heathrow? And that was just, I think, few maybe months after the opening of the Sheikh Rashid Terminal, or Concourse C, in Terminal 1. He said, I have one message to say. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, he's my boss. If he said something, we have to deliver. We're not like anybody. If we say something, this is the date, it has to be done, and it has to be delivered. He said, you guys, it took you 10 years to decide whether to go ahead with the Terminal 5 or not. And in Dubai, in 3 years, from the day one to the scratch, and Terminal Sheikh Rashid was delivered in 3 years. So this is, again, what we do here in Dubai. We set the standards.
Thank you. We've got lots of fresh marketeers. Having heard all what you've said, being touched personally with the success stories and your personal experiences, 3 words to be said to fresh marketeers. Or a tiny sentence, anything, a piece of advice, something to leave them memorable, to start something or new business with. So let me start with Ms. Mona.
Words. Find out what the customer wants, deliver with authenticity, and deliver what you promise. That's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mrs. Sagan? Guys, these are key messages of success generally in life, not only marketing. Mrs. Sagan?
So, I mean, it's part of our...
I got one message from you. Be proactive, not reactive. I just got it from what you mentioned. So be proactive, do not go for reactions.
That's what my husband says. To me, at least.
Yeah. So.
I mean, it's part of our company value in general. First of all, the speed. So whatever we do it fast. That's one. Number 2 is only results count. So the journey, for me, doesn't matter at all. So we look at the numbers. So results are numbers, they're never words. And 3 is we take decisions only based on data.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segan. Ms. Latifa.
أول start
Salah.
Salah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. For us, I would say transparency, and as our business is very important, it's a 24/7. For us, it's availability of all the products that we promise people, and to serve them with care.
Thank you very much. These are also very valuable messages. Last but not least, and we're going to wrap up this session.
I would say
Ms.
do it with
Latifa, yeah.
passion.
Passion.
Passion. Keep going, no matter how many times you fall. It counts when you get up. And last, have fun. Like, literally, just have fun.
She is the girl next door, isn't she? Thank you very much. We're so privileged to have you guys. Thank you very much. We're done with the session.